My name's Mary B. Sellers, and I will be very, hopefully not too awkwardly, reading off some interview questions I wrote a couple weeks ago. I am better with having a rubric in front of me instead of just, I don't know, spitting them off the top of my head. So, um, forgive the length, but I tried to cut them up so we're not just, I don't know, once again, I'm not monologuing. That's boring. So, Eric, thanks for being with me.
Thank you for having me. This is amazing. I'm so excited.
Eric's been with me, well, sort of sleeping on the couch for the last couple of weeks and has been a consummate house guest and has done the dishes and taken out the trash for me and put up with the cat and been an all-around great friend. And so I'm really honored to be able to do this for you.
Excellent. Thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. First question, laughter. I want you to explain it to me. What's its purpose in your art and how does pain underscore it? Your elegance feels intentionally slapstick in nature, and your visuals draw comedy from critical hurts. A punch in the face, for example, in Time for Plan B, or the classically Greek bandaging in Backseat Emperor. Snuggling pain against the friendly belt of good humor feels like the best recipe for most nonfiction, and I wanted to ask you whether you'd ever described your life as a black comedy.
Yeah, I would definitely describe it as a black comedy. I think that somebody like me, and I don't want to say that anything that I've gone through is better or more lofty than other people's experiences, but humor definitely gets me through. It has gotten me through. I've had crazy experiences that I've written about. But I think it's necessary. I think that humor is what keeps us coming back. Humor and family and friends, for lack of a better expression, keeps us from offing ourselves, when
Yeah.
we think that that's an option, and it
Oh,
shouldn't be
yeah.
an option. It should be off the table.
Yes.
And I think that um, I'm just going to go ahead and say this. I haven't said this publicly yet, but a few days ago in downtown Jackson, I was doing DoorDash and I got mugged, and it sucked and it was awful. And I wouldn't wish it upon anybody. I'm thankful that I made it through okay. I actually have empathy for the person who did that for me because it must have been awful for them to get to a point where they thought that was their only recourse.
Yeah.
But I even made a black comedy one-off to you, and it's not a reflection of you, it's not a reflection of Jackson, but I just said something like, well, I feel like I've got the full Jackson experience because I've had incredible highs and incredible lows in just the month that I've been here. But I think that's just how my brain works, how I process it. We know humor is a defensive mechanism,
Yes.
and other than that, we would just be crying in the corner, and you can't cry all day, every day, or you wouldn't get anything done. So there's that.
Okay. Um, Backseat or not, I'd argue that the mental warfare we're belittled by during trauma serves later as self-libel and if lucky, forced to work through in therapy. Uh, and what I mean by that is self-libel, uh, we tell ourselves ugly truths that might not actually end up being total reality. I mean, we're our worst enemies, especially when we have negative people in our corner. It can just snowball into this narrative about how terrible we really are. And like, obviously, we have our faults, but at the end of the day, I really think that we should be able to cut ourselves some slack, even if we have done the most heinous thing. And that I think that's an unpopular opinion, but I think that's also the best way to stay alive. Um, I want you to tell me more about your trauma. Broken down, the dark thing whispers to us lies, and those lies break down in the body. One day you're sitting at work and your knee won't move. One day next, you're diagnosed with something autoimmune, or the frightening jerkiness of a PTSD episode crops up so unexpectedly that you treat a partner or friend wrongly. That little dusting of gravel used to be the love you shared, and now it's newly infected. Trauma passes like a blood clot, and the clot's main instinct isn't animal but viral. We spread it, and it crowds the soul out of ourselves. So the question, I guess, is how, and I know that was long, and I'll try
You're
to
fine.
sense in. How has trauma affected your writing? Do you use it intentionally, or does it sort of finds its way in uh, on its own? Like mine, I don't know. I can't
I
not.
know what you're trying to say. I'll take it. Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I think that it finds its way in. Hold on a second. Oof.
take a minute.
Hmm. It finds its way in, even if you're, and I think I've showed you some poems too, where I feel like I could be talking about going for a stroll in the park, and then I'm wondering, like, hey, if it really came down to it, would I have to fashion a shelter here? And it's like they are healthy thoughts because it's about survival, but also, um, as a lot of people know, I had a really rough time in 2023, and I was in and out of homeless shelters in the Long Beach area. And I was rescued by two friends of mine, Rebecca Linda Murray and Christine Marino. And they kind of worked together to get me into a hotel, and then from there, fly from Los Angeles to South Carolina, and I stayed with Christine for just under 6 months, and that was great. But it was really rough, and I didn't even know how to articulate it to her. And she was really cool. She was really understanding, saying, "Hey, this is a safe space. I can give you like, 6 months here to get everything together." Um, but there were times I was waking up in the middle of the night in the dark and I didn't know where I was or what was going on. And I had to like beg her to buy like night lights and put them in the hallway to find the bathroom in the night because I kept feeling like I was either waking up on the street or waking up in the shelter. And that was not a good thing. And I still kind of have a defense mechanism where if I am low to the ground, I'll either be like rolling up next to a piece of furniture in the night and I don't even realize I do it, kind of wrapped up like I call it a blanket burrito. Or one calming thing that I've learned over time is the moon is a really good centering
You
thing.
used it the other night.
Well, I went through a traumatic event, so um, it's just because, the moon is constant and it's bright and it's at night. And sometimes we have this feeling, I just don't speak for me, but for other people I've talked to that have been through really traumatic experiences where um, if you stop believing in the sun, then you'll never see the dawn. It's like you have to find that inner calmness and just go, you know what, it's going to be okay. Yeah, it's dark
Yeah,
outside. Yeah, it's kind of scary, but the sun's going to come up at some point.
we'll come up with
So,
it.
yeah. So, yeah, I do carry that trauma, but it's gotten a lot less. I mean, it was really bad early, the first couple of months of 2024, it was really bad. And then when I started working again, it was great because then I could just, having a day job and just focus on that. And then pretty much never look back. But I really feel, and I've thanked them repeatedly in books and things like that, or that, Christina Rebecca really did me a solid, and I hope I never have to go back to that situation again because I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It's pretty awful. And I feel like I'm a pretty jovial, upbeat person, and I try to help other people where I can. So, and also with this book, Leaving Long Beach, I really try to incorporate contact numbers and websites and organizations for, people that, are going through a rough time. Because the most important thing, and I don't care really what anybody's experience is, one thing that I find that people really clamp onto and drags them down is people forget that they have options. And the more options you have, the more you can breathe and say, okay, it's not the end of the world. The sky is not falling. The sun will come up tomorrow, like the Annie song, right? Bet your bottom dollar. But mental health is really important, and we have to really take everything into account. And we don't know. You don't know, like if you go to the grocery store, the gas station, complete strangers that you run into, what they're going through. And even if they're jovial and happy and wishing you a happy day or, have a great weekend, someone in their life could have just passed away or their car could have just crapped out or anything. And we're all on this planet together, and we just have to be empathetic and share the load.
What a great answer.
It's a long answer.
Good one. How does aesthetic tie into how you illustrate emotion? That's a
Aesthetic
weird
in what
question.
way?
Uh, your books are obviously intentionally aestheticized. I mean, the covers
Oh, I
themselves
mean like with a
have
theme
taken,
maybe or
well, I guess I'm speaking about the cover, but I mean, you can also speak about the content. The covers are very stylized, and it
yes.
obviously you put a lot of thought into how you wanted to package your book.
Yes.
And but it also they convey a certain, I mean, for lack of a better word right now, vibe that very much introduces the content, I
Mhm.
think. So I
No, I know what you're saying.
okay,
I can take it. Yeah. So for
okay.
example,
How do you I mean, what is its importance in the book process, I guess?
um I
Or if there
guess,
is.
and I know this is going to sound like a slam on other writers, and I hate to do this, but I've always been off-put, especially by classic literature, where it's a bunch of dead white guys, and it's just a name, a title, and a name, and it's just to me, it's just really off-putting. There's nothing organic, there's nothing interactive,
Mhm.
and me being a huge music fan and also film fan. I am just in love with the way that bands create a window into their music with
Okay.
album covers or
Yes.
a film poster. So I've just never been a fan of, especially when it comes to poetry, when it's like so and so puts out a book and it's like just the vaguest, vanillest, most vanilla title, and it's just like ruminations
I,
and selected poems. And I'm like, I don't know. How is that pulling me into your life? How is that? Let me in. Like, is this, it's one thing if someone passes away and it's like collected works of Allen Ginsberg or
yes.
Shakespeare or something like that. It's like, okay. But for me, it's like, okay, I want to convey that this was written about a certain time in my life in a certain place in a certain kind of collective experience.
Mhm.
And I want people to think of it like this, like I think that, maybe I'll just stick with that. Maybe I'll just backtrack that to the
Okay.
album cover thing and just, it charts your progress.
Good. I mean, you make a good example. I mean, I think they're usually supposed to be, how do I put this? It's trendy. It's like indie to have like the blank, just like one color, the text. Some people would think that's very elegant. And I'm not saying that those are in any way, yeah, you would let the content speak for itself. It doesn't need something bombastic on the cover. Uh, I'm a visual person, however, so I like it when a book tells me what it's about visually. That is just taste. And I don't think either way is wrong. We
Right.
need both, we need all types. We need books with something that clown nose that pops out and you pull it out and put it on.
Yeah.
Um, what a great answer. I wanted to follow up with that because I like that you touched upon that because we've all seen that book in Barnes and Noble and it's like, okay, so that guy has something to say. It's like philosophy. You know what I mean? Like not philosophy. It's like
Yeah. I mean, how many times have you,
it's
sorry
a
to cut you
circus
off there.
mustache, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, sorry to cut you off
And we
there,
love
but
that
like,
guy.
yeah, yeah, how many times have you been to a bookstore or a library or something and there's just, a little display of maybe they have a theme, maybe it's poetry month for April or horror story month for October or something like that. And it's just kind of makes you sink a little bit. I mean, there are
Yeah.
exceptions, of course, like for horror and that kind of genre. If you see like the collected works of Edgar Allan Poe, you know what that is. You know what his name alone is a brand.
Yeah.
So there's no question they'll probably have like a little House of Usher or a little Raven or something in the corner, and you're like, ooh. But you would just buy that on just the name alone. But for me, I always feel like I want to create something that expresses something in the book, and it'll draw people in. Just my 2 cents.
Each their own, right?
Yeah.
Um, I guess I'm just gonna read this entire hold on, I'm reading this question. Should I skip this? Let's see.
Okay.
Well, I guess we sort of already touched upon it. I mean, what's your ratio of importance, image versus language? Or are they enemies or are they lovers? In fact, the kind of cradle effect you find in the Isle of Walgreens, some messy mixture of blue and pink and metallic marketed for kids who have trouble with the dormancy of simple primary. I mean, I look, I have ADHD, so I'll make the ADHD joke. Like the kid who needs like, I don't know, the pond colored crayon with like metallic in it. Like just something a little different. Like that wasn't
No,
scratch
no, I
that.
know what you're,
Let
I
me go back to
think I
the
know what
original
you're trying to
question.
say. Like, for
I,
example, it's not published yet, but I have a collection of humorous short stories. But I felt like, okay,
the
I'm not
title.
really marketing this to people my age. It's probably one of the first books where I thought, okay, I'm actually marketing this to people much younger than me, like maybe in college, or people that are in airports or need something to take. It's like a 300-page manuscript. So it's something that they would take with them on a trip, on an airplane, reading at the beach, whatever, on a vacation.
Mhm.
But I also wanted something that could be interactive. So it's got black
Okay.
and white photos of me doing funny faces or, out in the world doing whatever. And I wanted it to be something where language, I didn't want people to be afraid that they couldn't laugh at me. It's okay to read a story and get to guffaw and, oh, that was kind of clever. But I
Yeah.
wanted it to be a book where people open it up and they're like, why does page 87 think I'm an asshole? That's not right. But just something where they pick, or,
You did something to 87. You just don't remember.
or just something where they pick it, like just they can flip through
Last weekend.
and there are funny lists and, there are funny things that jump out that aren't part of the stories. They're just randomly kind of inserted to kind of pick them up because it's like, just as well as anybody else, you go to a bookstore or whatever, and somebody might just be window shopping.
Hmm.
Or they're waiting time to meet with friends for lunch or dinner or to go to a movie, and they're like, oh man, I've got an hour and a half to kill. And they just wander into a Barnes and Noble and like, what is that over there? And so they pick it up and they're flipping through it and like, what is wrong with this guy? And you know what? If they've done that and they've picked it up and they've said, what's wrong with this guy? And they're laughing, then I've already done everything I needed to do because maybe they didn't buy the book then, but they're going to talk to somebody about it. And it's just word of mouth. So hopefully that was asking your questions about interactive and short attention spans.
Yes, it did.
Um,
Thank you.
may I share a poem about
Yes,
mental health?
100%. Go.
Okay. So
Ready.
I thought this was an appropriate place to start. This is Leaving Long Beach. And I wrote this entire book except for the last poem while I was suffering from homelessness, just going to libraries and places like that with a notebook and writing things down. So one thing about mental health I wanted to cover with this poem is about obsession. And this is about a physical um, um, manifestation, I guess, of that, where I kept my keys with me in my pocket or in my backpack while I was going through that, even though they didn't work anymore, even though the things that they
Oh.
locked. And to me, it was just a very tangible thing about this represents my life. This represents what I lost. And so I'll read that one. This one is called Owner of Keys, Master of None.
Okay, I'm gonna close my eyes.
Okay. I sit on the frozen park bench and examine the keys in my hands under luminous moonlight. The silver ones reflect back skyward like wannabe diamonds. So many keys to lost locks, lost to me via bad decisions. Keys to a storage unit I can no longer afford to keep. Keys to a decent office job that I can never go back to. Keys to a bike lock that the bike was stolen years ago. Keys to a safe from inside an apartment I was evicted from. Keys to an old P.O. box from another state and another life. None of them are useful. None of them can save me. None of them have any value. None of them will help me to reconnect with my daughter. In fact, they are paperweights. I put them back in my pocket. I contemplate a future beyond homeless shelters and wandering. I gaze up at the indifferent moon. The moon gazes back indifferently. I take the lockless keys out again and carefully scrutinize each one with my filthy, numb fingers. I am becoming distracted enough to finally ignore the cold. Thank you. Thanks.
Which do you prefer? I feel like an asshole. I feel like I haven't earned the snaps, but you earned them.
Thank you.
Key fob is what? Mm, I don't know. I'm not coming up with it. I like it's like the center of our lot. I mean, it unlocks, it
Well,
gives
it
us
unlocks your
protection,
apartment, your car door,
gives
keys to an
agency.
office that I used to work at,
It is
a
protect it
bike
is a
lock.
it can act as a weapon. It also it
I did that actually. I did the old put the keys through the fingers when I got attacked a couple of times and used them kind of
oh
like
my God.
Wolverine to kind of fight people off when I was sleeping on a bench in the dark. Yeah.
Um, okay, thank you. Okay, this is another long one.
Sure.
I describe your stuff as jovially intellectual. You've got a soft spot for romanticism, but the real dirt of life's also present. What's mental health's purpose in Backseat Emperor? And how does a global crisis like the COVID lockdown create enough reliable tension between subjects like fatherhood or the existential nature of ownership and offspring to classify this book as a field guide for difficult parenting? I
Wow.
can,
Okay.
and you know what? We can take it bit by bit because
Yeah, I guess I'll
that
just
was a
try to
mouthful.
cherry pick that a little bit and what I
Yeah.
remember from it.
Backseat Emperor, I mean, you touch upon a lot there.
Yeah, I guess and I had some poems written before the lockdown, but I think that when that happened and my job became a stay-at-home job, and then after like 6 weeks they laid everybody off, I just was trapped. I was renting a room out of a house in Laguna Niguel, and my daughter would stay with me every other week and weekend, and I had to figure it out. I had to make it work somehow. I had to go out and do Lyft or something with a mask on because people still needed to go to the airport. So I did that as a second job, and I got her into her daycare at the school. The YMCA, thank God, was attached to the school, and I know she was so crestfallen because she kept feeling like I was pushing her away, but I kept telling her, like, yes, your mom works at home, but dad goes somewhere. And so I'm home, but I have to go out and do things to earn money.
Mhm.
So I would get her up early and make her breakfast, make her lunch, and then drop her off. And she was always crying, and it was so
Oh,
heartbreaking
how old was
because,
she? Do you mind me asking?
yeah,
Yeah.
well, this was what, 6 years ago? So she was probably 10, 9 or 10.
Okay. Okay.
I guess 9 when it started, and so she kept feeling really pushed away. And so there's nothing I could do. I had to have her somewhere. And honestly, that was the best thing for her to be around other kids be
Hmm.
regimented, have a schedule, do the schoolwork, play games, even if they were wearing masks. I was so thankful for the YMCA staff because they scrubbed that place top to bottom every day. Never once did any child come down with COVID while they were at the YMCA.
It's
And
amazing.
yeah, and she was there for probably a year during
Mhm.
because California stayed closed for a long time. And during
I think
that
you did the right
time,
thing, though. You put her in a safe,
you have to,
uh,
especially if you,
organized
yeah,
environment that could take care of her needs, her intellectual, her recreational, physical needs,
socially too,
while
she
you
had to
work.
be around other kids because I can only do so much, and at a certain point, I'm out of gas, and I'm like emotionally out of gas, just sitting there going like I have nothing left. And I could do the online tutoring with her, but I'm also not a teacher, and it was better for her to have other people around at all times, just always providing food and clothing on my part and entertainment, but um, just like we need work, we need day jobs, kids need to go to school, they need that in their life. Um, and during the downtime, I wrote a lot of poems. And I think it really got me through. And my sense of humor, I think, got me through. And talking on the phone to, friends and family, that was like our lifeline, right? Well, during the lockdown was, yeah, we all became proficient at Zoom chat during that time, 6 years
Right.
ago. I can't believe it's been
Right.
6 years now, but yeah.
Me neither.
Hopefully that was a roundabout answer that you're looking for.
I mean, it was a crazy question, and uh, it was perfect. Um, and it's good to hear a little bit more about your daughter.
Yeah, I love her very
Yeah.
much.
Um, what's the breaking point for you? Uh, digitally, we're met each morning and evening with the dystopia of clickbait, clever crops, cringe parody masquerading as Fox News, memes about destruction, memes about the great lapse between Freudian thought and Enneagram girlies, and we keep posting like someone will tell us we matter. How do you post in light of the famine of likes we oftentimes more than not experience as creatives online? What I mean to say is, I don't know, we've all been there where, or at least I've been there where I've put something creative out. I'm not saying it's good, 2 likes, and it's like, okay, do I take it down? Is it that bad? Do I just not have friends? Is it okay to have something out there that has 2 likes that I am proud of? Does that question make any sense? And I can repeat it if
Completely. Am I allowed to swear on this interview?
yes.
The
We need to
algorithm,
hear
yes, I'll just say this and it's a blanket statement. The algorithm is a motherfucker.
it.
And there is really nothing you can do other than social media people that, in California told me, like, well, you have to post at 10 in the morning in California. So then it's 1 p.m. in New York. And then if you're going to post, and it's like, what? Because
Hmm.
this is the prime morning break time for California and the end near the end of the lunch break for New York City when I was in California. And I tried to do that for a while. I tried really hard to have like a podcast, and I was on TikTok, and I was literally on the verge of doing, well, maybe even doing stuff like the Jackass TV show where I was hitting myself with a beach ball or whatever to get likes, to just as a way to siphon people into my podcast and get new viewers and um, talk about books and talk about movies I was working on and stuff like that because it was like this endless black hole of content. We need content. Oh my God, we need more. We need more. We need more. And at certain points, it's like you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing some inane thing on your balcony with like a cactus that you wouldn't do if you had friends over. They'd be
Yeah.
like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What? No, no, I need this to do, and it's not that I really cared for people to like me as a person. It was just getting the eyeballs toward whatever it is you're working on. Like, oh, I need people to look at my story that got published, or I need to tell them about my movie they have coming out, or I'm plugging my podcast or whatever, because people are so fickle and the attention span is getting shorter and
Yeah.
shorter and shorter. And I had to cut TikTok out completely and say, it was fun, but I don't need it to live. It's great that people have it, and I know I understand about doom scrolling. We all do it, whatever. I needed to cut that out. And then I made this decision in December of last year with my publisher. I said, I'm going to turn the notifications off for all social media on my phone because it was getting crazy. Because we have this, I think in the last few years, you can agree or disagree with me, this feeling of guilt when it comes to social media, the guilt and
Oh, I don't
FOMO.
have any guilt.
Well, I have guilt or had a lot of guilt a few months ago. The fear of missing out is one thing, but also the guilt of I have so many friends that are writers, actors, musicians, painters, doing great works with their organizations to help people, and they have events going on. And it was just like I just couldn't sit there for hours and like every single picture and like every single event announcement to the point where I went to the park yesterday, you know what? And I turned my ringer off and I made silly pictures of myself in the park. It was a park I'd never been to with hiking trails, and I had a great time and I encountered real people out in the world. And it was, hey, how's it going, y'all? I heard some bad weather's on the way. And it was euphoric to just get out in the middle of nowhere, unplug all the tethers, all the social media umbilical cords that we feel like we are entrenched in and just live life, because I had my phone shut off a couple of weeks ago and it was a nightmare just for the communication part of it.
And I mean, that's like having part of your soul shut off. We're so, I mean, at some point they're just going to be adhesive, growing out of our hands. I mean, it's a strange analogy, but this is a part, it's an appendage, it is a part of ourselves. So when that part is shut off, we lack a great, uh, we lack our ability to communicate effectively. I mean, I don't know, when I don't have my phone, I mean, it's good for me, but I feel like I uh, have absolutely no way of uh,
Do you have FOMO when you don't have your phone?
no, I just feel like I feel unsafe, honestly. And
That's fair.
I'm
Yeah.
not good at coming up with I'm trying to think of how to articulate myself a little better. I feel like I'm lacking an essential function. Um, and that's so I mean, have you seen the meme where it's like we're growing like this and we're growing horns and like our face is enlarged and I mean
We
it's
look like
I'm just telling it. What
the
are you?
giant fat gerbils from Wall-E up in the space station that are just
That's
getting
good.
fed feed
You know,
liquid in food tubes, and we're just floating because we're too heavy to support like by our own legs, and then we have like a screen right here,
but
and that's all
there's
we
a
do is
spiritual
this.
element. There's a spiritual element too to the phone. I mean, it sounds crazy, but I have had spiritual insights by staring into my screen before. Quote me if you want. But I think this thing is linked up to us in a way just because every human on the planet has one of these. I We're linked to this. So when that part is shut off, what happens? Is it good? Is it now, or is it this point like, is that really unhealthy? Because we have become so, I don't know, what's a fancier word for connected? Uh, it is, we are one, I mean, we are one with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
thing.
yeah. We're all aligned. I would go in an opposite direction though, just because I functioned perfectly fine before texting was invented. I had a perfectly fine communication. I'm a pretty good communicator. I don't have any problem getting up in front of people and talking. But also, self-deprecation is a big part of that, and that's just a comfort level thing for me. But for me, like when my phone got shut off, it was more like phone, like actually as a phone, and texting because people are at work and that's how they text you. The social media stuff it was so crazy to have access to social media, but not have anybody be able to call me or get a hold of me. And to me, it was more of a safety thing because it's like, what if I'm somewhere and my car breaks down, or I'm in a car accident, or I'm in some park and I fall and I can't move, and it's like, how is anybody gonna find me? So social media to me is a tool. It is a useful tool, is a great tool. I'm also not a fan of AI at all. I feel like people should create their own artwork and their own methods of expression. I get that it's an AI world and it's becoming more prevalent, but that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, last question.
May I read a couple poems after your last question?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Processing America looks like a dystopian declaration, but is it? I haven't gotten to read it yet. I'd like you to talk about mental health in whatever form you'd wish and relate it to this particular work if you want to. But if the poems that you want to read instead relate better,
That's a really great question, Mary. Let me jump into that real quick and just say
okay.
that so Edgar and Lenore's publishing house, they had put out Leaving Long Beach, and I wasn't going to have a Backseat Emperor come out through them, but then I had an issue with the publisher who I was under contract with for that book, and they just couldn't give me a release date, and it did not become a priority. So when that contract lapsed, I emailed them and I said, "Hey, I'm going to take this manuscript. I really believe in it. I think it's got some great poems in there." And so, in talking to April, right when I think the first riots started happening in Los Angeles, the ICE riots, when ICE was kind of going in, just pulling people out of their houses and horrifying, pulling people out of court appearances and family picnics and family reunions. It was just awful. And I knew a lot of people going through that. And so I wrote the title poem for this, for Processing America.
Hey,
And it really was something that kind of felt like verbal vomit. I wasn't there personally, but I was like everybody else. I was watching it on TV, but maybe not like the people in South Carolina. I knew a lot of those people that were going through that, and they were just saying like, "Hey, we're Americans. If you can't do this to us, this is awful. Like we came here for opportunity to make something of ourselves." And I reached out to April and I said, "What about with Backseat Emperor putting out a chapbook, a small little throwback chapbook to like the old school like beat poets, where the book is you can hold it in your hand, you can put it in a purse, your back pocket, a
so it
backpack.
again, how small is it?
I think it's like maybe 4 by 3."
Put it in your purse. Take it to work.
Exactly. If I had a pocket, I'd put it right here.
Yeah, I love that.
Um, so
Compact.
the yeah, and the title poem is about 7 pages because of the size. It's 7 pages, and there's one other new poem in there called "The Uninvited." The other 9 poems are 15, 16, 17 years old, so they were. And then April came up with the idea for orphan poems instead of other poems because they didn't really have a home. So I thought that was kind of fun. Um, but that really came together at the last minute. And what's crazy is, even though that chapbook is like 40 pages, maybe, it's gotten the most critical acclaim of anything I've ever written. Nominated for a Pushcart Prize, listed as the top 25 books about Los Angeles for 2025 for LA Taco. I could not believe it. In fact, Richard Modiano, who wrote the intro to this, was also nominated for a Pushcart Prize. And April and I were just talking the other day saying, it is insane that this thing that I feel like was just kind of thrown together at the last minute to kind of help out with the marketing of Backseat Emperor has taken on a life of its own. And more importantly, this book is now in a public library in Aiken, South Carolina. And I have talked to people that said thank you because even though the name is really on the nose with Processing America about what's been going on in the last year or so of our country, nobody was saying anything. Nobody was saying the things I wanted to say or that I wanted to hear being said. So I just want to reach out to the people watching this right now saying, like, you have it within you. Like, use your free speech, write about whatever you want. Don't
Yes.
worry about if it's a story or an essay or a poem or anything. Like, let someone else put a label on it later. Just get it out, Can I maybe read something else about mental health?
Yes, let's go.
So this is for Time for Plan B. This is a re-release of my first book that came out 6 years ago, which was called About Fucking Time. And this is a very important poem because this is how writing is a lifeline when you're having those dark thoughts, when you think about doing something to yourself or, something that is not healthy, and how we use writing as like, well, I processed it, I've written it, and I'm not going to hurt myself or anybody else. I'm not going to do anything untoward. So, this is called The Oh Shit Handle in Full Effect.
Okay.
Careening blindly around moonless canyon roads, searching and or escaping from doldrums on an undergarment-soaked July night. The turns are tight, and the entitled mofos who call these canyons home don't give fuck all. Their AC is working. Their car insurance hasn't lapsed. Their idea of kicks is gin and bridge. They don't know yet that they're already dead. Someone should tell them. But again, I value every breath. I scream again in terrified joy as the car misses another guardrail by mere eyelash lengths. I have a deep imprint of the oh shit handle on my palm, but I could really care less. I hold on to plastic. I hold on to youth. I hold on to an invisible warranty. I hold on because I can no longer hold out for answers that don't leave permanent scars. The Hollywood sign needs to be howled at, not because anything good will come of it, but because we're drowning all of our could've, should've, would've's tonight, once and for all. We're on a yes and kind of mission. I grab the handle and let go of the wheel. What comes next always feels like flying at first. I have the song A Horse with No Name stuck in my head. The water bottle in my back pocket won't last much longer. I pine to hear a distant lover's quarrel, anything, goddammit. I should sit in the shade and wait for nightfall. I open my eyes to properly devour the night.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for sitting through this interview with me, and I'm sorry we had to pause it.
No, you're okay.
And thanks for the laughs and the intimate moments we've shared. And feel like we've just I don't know, we have a deep friendship now that
I think so
is
too, yeah.
irreplaceable.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
I don't know, living with somebody for a span of weeks,
You get to know more than
I
you maybe
suggest
you
everybody
even
do it.
wanted. You get to know more even maybe than you wanted to.
Here's the thing, you interview somebody at the very end of their stay. It's like, yes, you get the interview, but you have to stay with me for 2 months first. And if we haven't killed each other by then we get the interview with roses.
If no
So,
one has been impaled, then
uh,
everything is good. Yeah.
yeah, thank you again, and thank you for being such a great house guest.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Well, have a great rest of your day.
You too. I'll see you in a minute.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.